This is Adwicta.
This is Merps. We're going through the top three neutral cards. These are the most powerful cards in neutrals. We always do something like this. So it'll be like top three or top four or whatever. This time it's going to be top three. We're in for a doozy.
Yeah, yeah.
We see some really powerful stuff. I don't know if this will surprise people. I hope not. I've been looking at other people's reviews, and I think
Eh,
that this is pretty consistent with what a lot of people are saying.
so the good cards are so ridiculous in this set. I don't think there's that much disagreement over which cards are the best. By the way, if you're watching this on YouTube or the stream and you see that we have Gnome Private up, that is not one of the top three. I just like the card. It's just being shown right now, so we don't spoil the top card. Don't worry, we haven't gone completely crazy. Fractured and Alterac has the new. Okay, well, we'll talk about the new mechanic later. The new mechanic is honorable kill. But one thing I should mention before I actually jump into the top card is our scale. Our scale, as we've done this entire year, is like a normal grading scale, tier list, like tier scale from all the way from F at the bottom to D for bad cards, C for normal cards, B for good cards, A for premium cards, and S for broken cards. Our lines are: we generally don't think A cards should exist in neutral. Something like uh, the Viper, Scorpid, Viper, I forget what it's called, that generates spells, that discovers spells. That would be
Venomous Scorpion.
Venomous Scorpid. That's A tier. And was it the most powerful card in the set? No, it wasn't. I think that was the same set that had Watch Post, which was like a S tier. But even A tiers create problems in the arena game when they're neutral. A tier cards are generally okay as class cards or as like legendaries, and S tier cards are just flat out broken. They ruin the game. Ysera is an S tier card. It doesn't matter really what they are. Obviously, if they're like a common neutral, it's super terrible. But even class cards, they ruin the game, right? Like you have stuff like performers, right? Like just crazy, crazy stuff that Goliath that's ruining the meta before and wait, no, they didn't ban it. They banned Engineer, but the idea is the same. These kinds of super powerful cards ruin the game no matter where they are. That's S tier. So outside of those, most of your actual good cards are going to be in the B tier. So if you think of a card as good, like you're like, oh, that's a really good card. Why is it not an A? No, we give it a B. This is like we're very tough graders here. Like B tier is where almost all of your good cards are going. The other Scorpid, for example, is only a B tier card. Even though you see it everywhere and it's really, really good. The 5/2 that pokes you for 2 damage and
Yeah.
stealths itself. Like B is very good by itself without going into A. And C is a normal tier. This is where normal cards are. Normal cards are usually like a 2 mana deal 3 damage card, or like a Yeti, but like with a little bit extra. Like if it's just 2 mana deal 3 damage, you're at the very bottom of normal, like almost like a C minus, but we don't get minuses. Yeti is a C minus or a D plus. It's literally right on that line. Something like a Croc or a Raptor would start going into D, which is or D plus in that case, which are just like bad cards, right? Like a Croc or a Raptor would be on the edge between D. Actually, I take that back. They're actually just D plus. Um, D's get into really bad territory. We're talking like 4 mana 4/4s, 3 mana 3/3s, that kind of stuff that like don't do anything. So when D cards are in your deck, and they invariably will be, it feels very bad, and you're going to be at a severe disadvantage. When C cards are in your deck, you don't really feel bad about it. They're just not doing anything special. When B cards are in your deck, that's how you win the game. So those are your cards with actual powers. And A cards are just unfair when it comes to neutrals, and S cards are broken no matter where they are. So that's our scale. I don't want to go too deep into it, but just so you guys know, we almost never give S's, as you can see from my examples of like Ysera and Goliath. We're going to give some S's for this expansion. um,
Yeah. So once again, the point of this scoring system is to differentiate. Okay, when bad cards are bad, I don't think people care as much,
mhm.
right? Like, so there's going to be, when a card is bad, I don't think people really care. It's like, okay, well, how bad is this card versus that card? If it's just trash, it's trash. But we think it is important to point out exactly how good are the really, really good cards. Um, and I know some other people who do these scoring systems. I think they're like 4.5 or 5 out of 5 could be close to like our B.
Yeah.
Um, but we want to have that separation. We want to say Arbor Up is just that much better than a, let's say, Stone Skin Basilisk,
Hmm.
right? So Arbor Up is S. Stone Skin Basilisk is like a B, B plus kind of card. We want to make that separation. So we want to make sure there's like two-tier difference between those, because I think we can all appreciate it's like one is a very good card that we're all very happy to get, but Arbor Up is still just miles better than something as solid and as good as a Stone Skin
Yeah, to
Basilisk.
give you
So
a
yeah,
historical scale from the last two, sorry, the last three sets. Yeah, we got the last three sets here. No, sorry, last two sets. United in Stormwind, for example, on the neutrals, had exactly one A tier card, which was Battlegrounds Battlemaster. And these are all the scores we gave before the set came out. So maybe there's
this
some
is
slight tweaks.
pre-nerf,
Yeah, this is
pre-nerf.
all. Yeah, so for this card, it was pre-nerf. But yeah, that's what it takes to be an A. And there was only one B plus, and that was Traveling Merchant. Other ones that just got Bs were things like Cheesemonger, Nobleman, Enthusiastic Banker, Pandaren Importer, and Cumber Pack Mule. Like, they're very good cards, but they're not, super pushing it. Now, in Barons, we had Moshan Watchpost, which we rated an S, and that got banned because obviously it's a common neutral S tier card. Like, what? Why was it ever in the game? Venomous Scorpid, like I mentioned before, that has an A. South Sea Scoundrel has an A. I think that was like the lowest A, and Primordial Protector also a low A, but those are A's. And that set had a bunch of B pluses actually, including Far Watch Post, which also got banned, I think, along with the Watch Post in general. Hog Rancher, which is still an insane card. Sunwell Initiate, and Tarojo Brave. Like, so these cards exist in neutral, but you rarely see A tier cards, and you pretty much never see S tier cards, and if you do, they're going to get banned. So speaking of S tier cards, we're going to kick off with the number one neutral card in Fractured in Alterac Valley. To no one's surprise, it is a S tier card that will be banned, and if not, it really should be banned. It's Abominable Lieutenant. It is an epic.
Abominable Lieutenant is an 8 mana 3/5 minion that says at the end of your turn, eat a random enemy minion and gain its stats. This is a solid S tier minion. And
Mm-hmm.
remember, the amount of S tier cards in general, even class cards that we give,
Very,
uh,
very low.
very, very low. And whenever a card is S tier neutral,
They
oof,
don't
you gotta
exist.
really watch
They
out. Yeah.
literally do not exist outside of legendaries.
Right. So look, I've talked about this before. Runaway Blackwing was Blizzard banned Blackwing before it could ever hit the arena meta, which I've always appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
This is a better Blackwing.
Mm-hmm.
This is power creep on Blackwing, in which
So
can you
what
find
is
situations?
Runaway Blackwing? Okay, Runaway
Right.
Blackwing.
Runaway.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a 9 mana 9/9 at dragon. At the end of your turn, deal 9 damage to a random enemy minion.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a rag that can't hit face, which for some of you are just like that means it's useless. This is better.
Well, but unlike Rag, it can attack the next turn like a normal minion.
Yes,
And then it can hit face.
But then it can't hit face. So Abominable Lieutenant. Are there situations in which this could be worse than a Blackwing? Sure, it could. But most of the time, if you're averaging it out, it'll be better. And this has a potential to snowball even harder because every single turn it eats, it gains its stats, so it becomes harder and harder unless you have that hard removal, right? And this is why I do want to point out something like Crushing Walls, right? Stuff like that, Psychic Scream, Entomb. It's like you need that kind of stuff for something like this. This is absolutely disgusting, absolutely gross. Your counter to this is to just have like a ton of minions or like a ton of 1/1s. It's so hard to do. Like that's so hard to get. and this is just absolutely disgusting. And the immediate impact it has, its staying power, its ability to just completely blow out the game. Am I happy that it is an epic? Yes and no. I kind of wish it was a common so it could just terrorize Arena for a week and everyone would have
Uh,
no choice but like Blizzard would see that it is actually
that's the
ruining
thing.
lives.
This card may
Yeah,
not be banned. There are no,
it
by the way, there
might
are
not be
no
banned.
S tier cards in the game right now that is neutral besides legendary. But there are S tier cards that are legendaries, like Goliath, like Ysera, that are not banned, and that Blizzard doesn't seem like they have any intention of banning. Like, they didn't ban Goliath even when it was super, super terrible. They banned Engineer.
They banned Engineer, which was the wrong way to do it.
But
Like,
it
I,
showed their like
yeah,
idea, right? Which is that legendaries,
yes,
even neutral legendaries, are allowed to be super, 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 super ridiculously broken. And
uh, yeah, unless you're seeing them too often,
right,
right?
unless you're seeing them
Yeah,
too often, because then that's not a legendary card being super broken. That's a common card being super broken, right? And they
yes.
don't want that. That's why Blackwing is banned. That's why they banned Engineer for that meta because it was super broken in that meta. But now we're seeing the creep, right? We're allowing legendary cards like Ysera to stay Ysera, like Goliath to stay Goliath, and there are other ones too. Those are just like prominent examples, mostly because they can be easily discovered. Uh, are they going to allow epics too? Like Rabbit, I don't know that we gave Rabbit a score. I think Rabbit was the last set that we actually algorithm, so we don't have a score on this scale. But I think Rabbit is not an S. Rabbit would be like
No,
in
it
the
wasn't
in the A tier.
even. No,
Yeah.
I don't even think it was A. I think it was like B plus or
Oh, maybe it
something,
was
or
B
like
plus.
B.
Okay.
I think it was a B or something. I
I
would
mean,
not have allowed it to be A
no, it
because I don't
wasn't
think it
because
was
we
A.
didn't have the scale at that point. That was the last set to actually be
Oh, it
algorithm.
was actually scored.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't
So
remember.
like I don't know where it will be scored now, but it definitely isn't an S. And Rabbit is like one of the most powerful epic cards that kind of exist in Hearthstone history. So we were never really like tested in this way, right? Of how close to the new Ysera to the Goliath we're going to get and have it be permissible. Well, this card is going to test it. Like it's clearly problematic. There's no doubt about it. We think it should be banned, clearly. And whenever we've said that a card should be banned and we've rated it super high, it's been very problematic. And it was either, I think it's always been banned. I forget. It was in one of my tweets a while ago where I kind of looked back in history. But this is one, like Merp said, it's unclear if they're going to ban it because it's unclear how problematic it'll be. So we want Ysera banned too, but we never like called for it to be banned because it was a legendary. And we know Blizzard's going to be hesitant to do that. This is the next step, right? Are epics okay? I don't think so, but I don't know if Blizzard thinks so. Right? This is not Runaway Blackwing. It is better than Runaway Blackwing, but it is not a common neutral. It's going to be seen, and they fixed the epic offering rates too, so it's going to be seen at like 25%, if not lower, than a Runaway Blackwing would have been seen. So it's not going to terrorize Arena. It's going to terrorize Arena the same way Ysera terrorizes Arena, right? Like, which is to say, oh, everyone complains about it, but we kind of also live with it. And like Ysera does make the game worse, but not so bad that we'd stop playing it. And maybe if you're Blizzard, you're looking at it and say, well, this gives the little guy a chance. They could play Ysera and win the game against better players. And you got to have stuff like that, even if it's just one card that you slam down without thinking. I don't know which way Blizzard's going to go on this, but from a power level wise, Abominable Lieutenant is better than Ysera. It's not that much better than Ysera. It's in the same tier. But it is Ysera. This is not an S plus tier, but this is a solidly S tier, like Ysera, like Goliath.
Yeah, I mean, it's very different from Ysera, right? Like they're in terms of categories of cards, they are very, very different. But yes, if we're talking about power level, it is very problematic, and it is super interesting. I'm not sure what they're going to do, especially because Blizzard does seem to be like they're trying to reach out to the community more. They seem to be listening more. So as of right now, they haven't banned anything like they did with Runaway Blackwing, and I'm not sure if they're going to do anything. I am a little bit more hopeful than I have been
Mm-hmm.
in previous years, but my greatest fear is the situation that we talk about, where this is problematic enough to make people really mad. but not problematic enough for Blizzard to flag this as an issue, like Deep Run into Goliath, or Watch Post on 3, such that like they're like, this is okay, right? And it creates a kind of swing that casual players will like. It's fun to eat
I
minions. It's kind of like so. I
really,
don't
really
know.
hope this
I'm
gets
not
banned.
sure.
I really hope
Yes,
this gets
I'm.
banned. And as a community, if like after release, if we can be a little vocal about this to either get banned or to get shadow banned, like nerf the way SAP, offering rates are nerfed, that would be great. Just this is gonna be bad. This is just gonna be bad. And I'll preface this with one thing. I guess not preface because we already talked about it. I'll mention one thing. This set is honestly not as bad as I feared it would be. The terrible cards are super terrible, but overall, it's not like we have to ban 12 cards for this meta to make sense. We would only have to ban like a handful, and most of them are class cards. And even if they don't get banned, they're at least just class cards. This is the neutral card that is going to be like the next Ysera times. I don't know how much frequently you see epics than legendaries, but I think a lot more frequently. So this is going to be the next Ysera on steroids. So hopefully it tips. Like hopefully Blizzard recognizes that legendaries are so special. They even have their own offering. You're only offered against other legendaries. And epics, as rare as they may be to actually be offered, is still a normal card that should follow normal rules. Like we ban it if it's too problematic in the arena. I'm hopeful. And I think that if Ixar or anybody else ever asked how the community feels about it, we should be vocal and say that it sucks. Assuming we're not totally wrong about this card, but I don't really see how we and everybody else could be. Like, this is not us stepping out and saying, oh, this is a super good card. Everyone's saying it. But I want to highlight that we think it is beyond broken.
The only way that this card is not broken is two scenarios. Number one, the meta is moving so fast that the number of times that the game just effectively ends on turn 8 is high,
with
like
Skullman's
relatively high.
Academy in, zero chance.
Exactly. With Skullman's Academy in, with all those removals, with Fishy Flyers in, with Broomstick in, with all of the spells, and just the way the meta is trending in recent years, you're not going to go back to that tempo-filled GVG meta. It's just not possible. You can try it, you're going to lose a ton. You're going to lose a ton. So that's not the way the game is played now. This card is perfect for that kind of meta. Or you can say, well, is there a way for me to just generate tons of 1/1s and play around it? No, there isn't. there really isn't. Yes, there are cards that like summon some 1/1s. You can think about like, oh, Violet Worm and all of that stuff. It's too hard for you to reliably get that.
That's the thing. It's not like this card can't be preemptively countered in that you already have stuff on the board and they eat the wrong thing, but it's hard to set up. And the chances that you can continuously set up that board, because it's not like your opponent has to drop this on 8. It's like essentially a hard removal, right? It's essentially like a deadly shot. Like you're gonna wait until you have a good deadly shot set up before you play deadly shot. Your opponents are gonna do the same. You should do the same thing with Abominable Lieutenant, and then like let it eat something that's at least a 5/5 or above. And then once it eats something that's a 5/5 or above, that is not like a Proto Drake. It's not even terrible beats a Proto Drake. It's just not something you like prefer to be doing. You'll just win the game. Because at that point, it probably takes your opponent 2 cards to remove this. You've already eaten one of their large cards. This has already gotten 3 cards worth of value. Your opponent's probably spending their whole next turn doing it. You get to set up and destroy everything. Like, it's too big of a flip. As long as you are not too impatient with it, and your opponent doesn't just have like the magic hands that can always put small things on the board, and you somehow don't have some board clears and stuff to like remove the small things.
Yep. Once again, remember, this is Arena. So if people are asking, it's like, well, there are ways to play around it. No, there isn't. On average, reliably, there just isn't. You need that hard removal, and sometimes you don't have it. The chances of you sort of like being able to kill it with creatures on board, maybe, but then you're giving them like a 3-for-1 probably, and in that case, that also is bad.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Abominable Lieutenant. It is deserving of S. We don't like neutral S cards. It's really, really, really bad. Um, we will see what Blizzard does, if anything. But this is one in which, if you're unlucky enough to draft it like 100% of the time. If you're passing this up, I don't know what you're picking instead, but it is just that good.
All right. Next card is an A. Remember, I still don't think A's should exist as neutral cards in the arena. But you know what? If it's going to have to, at least it's an epic. So the next one's another epic. This is A tier. A tier is where Scorpid is. These are very good cards. They're cards that people will want banned. I would want them banned. But they're also cards that I think a lot of people are willing to live with in the arena, unlike S tiers. Spammy Arcanist is the next card. This is A tier. It is a 5 mana 3/4 Battlecry Defile, which is deal 1 damage to all other minions. If any die, repeat this effect.
Right. So it is Defile, except this thing is protected. This thing is dealing it to all the other classes. It is an A. Now, if you're wondering where Defile would be an S. This is like more clunky, more awkward than a Defile. Part of the strength of Defile is the fact that it's not attached to a 3 mana 3/4 body, which is nothing special these days. And with the extra mana in Defile, you can have more mana to set up the Defile.
Yes,
right?
That is very big.
Yes, that's very big. You can either set up the Defile or play something better than just a 3 mana 3/4 afterward. So you have more flexibility on the front end and better options, hopefully, on the back end. So Defile by itself would be an S. This is, quote, just an A.
It's not even an A plus. It's like it's an A.
It's an A.
The fact that it's a 5 mana card and you end up with like a 3/4 body for 3 extra mana is quite a big drag on such a good card like Defile.
Right. So look, this is what I'm talking about when I mentioned Skullman's Academy and this meta in which you're just able to generate stuff. You're able to have initiative. This is going into that idea that we have seen from Skullman's Academy onwards. It's hard to keep a board now. And now you have to play around a neutral Defile. I do not like this at all. This is not something that I enjoy. This is easier to play around because you couldn't really play around Defile. Like, what you could do is sometimes, facing a Warlock, you could say, okay, I'm going to stagger the HPs a little bit more, right? I'm going to have this breakpoint. Let's say, I'm going to have 2 things at 1 health, and then, like, one thing at 2 health, and then another thing at, like, 4 health or something. I didn't have much of a choice, but at least the top end survives, and then maybe you have, like, a 5 health thing or something. And then the Warlock can use mana to bridge that. So to kind of like bust your expectation of just a Defile, here it's a lot harder, especially because the Warlock on turn 5 and turn 6, turn 7, they can do that much easier. Here it's easier for you to expect those staggered HPs to be able to block or protect the higher HP things from getting immediately killed.
Okay, but honestly, this is an epic neutral card. Please do not play around this unless you are like the most ahead possible, which you won't be because this meta is so swingy. There's other things that'll swing too. Do not play around this card. Just get wrecked when it gets played. It's okay. Defile was different because that was a common or rare, but it was a Warlock class card, so it got offered a lot when you're facing a like you knew Warlocks had Defiles. People aren't gonna have Spammy Arcanist until they do, and then you get screwed. It's still not worth it to play around because it's so specific how to play around this card, right? Like you don't do it to anything else.
So some of you guys I see already in chat are like, oh, like Merps, this is much closer to Defile than you think. No, it is not.
No.
Do you guys know how bad a 3 mana 3/4 body is now that can't be played on turn 3? It's horrible now. You see the power level of cards that are out.
Like
you
imagine if you attach imagine if you're attaching Defile, an S tier card, with a 3 mana 3/4 that can't be played until turn 5 or later, which would be like I want to say F tier card, maybe an F plus tier card, and then you kind of like average the two scores, right? Like, I mean, that's not how we did it. We have a system for this stuff, but like that's how much it drags you down. You can think of it as two cards that they put into one. Like, yeah, you get some bonus synergy with two cards putting into one, but the other card is so bad. It's a 5 mana card that gives you 2 more mana and a 3/4 body. Like, it refreshes 2 of your mana and then it has a 3/4 body. Oh, that's terrible.
So once again, this is an A card.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think that it should be higher because you believe that Defile is like S plus,
Yeah, maybe.
at least then I can
Yeah.
understand.
But the 3/4 body is not relevant.
You have to accept that this is not close to Defile. It doesn't mean it's bad. This is an A card, and it's because we think Defile is like a solid S tier card.
Mm-hmm.
But no, you don't want Defile attached to a 3 mana 3/4 body. And remember, a 3 mana 3/4 body that you can't play on turn 3 is a terrible card. It's actually a trash card. So
someone made a very good analogy. Someone says, oh god, I'm trying to find this comment right now. But Entitled Customer is a better card than this, and that is true. Entitled Customer, if you remember, we rated it A plus, which is why we rated this an A. Like we're being very, very consistent here. Like if you think about Entitled Customer, which I think we rated above most people actually, and like that kind of was surprising to me because I thought it was obviously insane, but people were not as high on it in general. And we came out and we said this is the most ridiculous card in a otherwise, you know, not super terrible set, especially for Warlock. And we had all those predictions lined up for United in Stormwind. It was the best Warlock card, and it drove the whole entire Warlock playstyle before the meta switch. And that was an A plus. And this card is not as good as an Entitled Customer. It's an A. And Defile is better than both of them because of the flexibility.
Yep. Okay, so I think that's enough. I mean, that's enough discussion for this. It's just gonna be really annoying. I hate that our top 2 cards are epics because it really does mean that you shouldn't play around it. You're just gonna get wrecked.
You're just gonna get wrecked.
By
like this upcoming meta is gonna be maybe fun if you like bouncing around and whatever, but it's gonna be super frustrating to play in as a good player. Like it will be. There's no way the Blizzard can avoid it. Like if I'm at Blizzard and I am, you know, I don't want to say the person in charge. There's really no person in charge of this, but I am thinking about competitive arena or about what to, you know, how to make things better in arena for players who are good and care about skill and stuff. This is a terrible, terrible position to have been put in, right? Like I don't know what to do without banning a whole lot of cards, which they're probably not going to do. So we want to end this video with a third card. We didn't want to just cut it off at 2. We could have cut it off at 2, because remember, we have an S tier card and we have an A tier card. The next card is a B plus card. And I want to bring you back, before we get to the next card, to Barons. In Barons, 1, 2, 3, 4, there were 4 B plus cards and 3 A tier cards. Even though 2 of the A tier cards are very low, and I think nowadays we would have, like, there's been a bit of a power creep since Barons, and we would have put it at B plus. But we'll count that as if there was one S card and 1 A card in Barons, the S card being Watch Post and the A card being Venomous Scorpion. Then there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 B plus cards. That's how the Barons meta was shaped. There was a lot of really good cards. In Alterac, that is not the case. We have 1 S card, just like Barons, except fortunately it's not a common. And then we have an A card, just like Barons. Of course, fortunately, this is also not a common, but an epic as well, in Spammy. But there's only 1 B plus card, rather than 6, like B plus / A minus card. There's only 1 B plus card here. So we thought that even though this card's not at the same power level as Spammy or Abominable Lieutenant, we want to talk about it in this video because it is a common card. And you're going to see this a lot more than Spammy, a lot more than Abominable. And in all seriousness, you may end up hating this card more than the other 2, just because you see it way more often. And it will drive the meta more than the other 2, just because it'll exist way more frequently than the other 2 cards. And that card is Knight Captain. Make no mistake, Knight Captain is not as powerful as those other 2 cards. It's not really that close. But it is definitively, we think, the most powerful card after that. Because the rest of the set, the rest of the Alterac neutral cards, are really just like somewhere between like good and okay. But this one is like borderline premium, like it's almost an A, but it doesn't quite make it. Knight Captain is a 5-mana 3/3 common card. Battle Cry, deal 3 damage. Honorable Kill, gain +3/+3.
Yeah. So let's explain Honorable Kill. Honorable Kill means whenever you are dealing exact damage to kill another minion, it triggers. Honorable Kill, correct me if I'm wrong, only triggers when this thing is attacking or when it is doing something.
Well, including the Battle Cry.
Including the Battle Cry. Like, that's what I mean. When it is acting.
Yes.
Not like when it is acted upon.
Yes, like if you have a 3/3 Honorable Kill minion on the board and the opponent like throws a 3/3 minion into yours, you don't get an Honorable Kill. Even though this minion did kill a 3/3 minion, which would have been the exact damage that you need to trigger Honorable Kill normally, because you're not the one attacking, because it's not on your turn, you don't get the Honorable Kill. You can only get an Honorable Kill when it's on your turn.
So, if you guys are looking at this, and you're going, wait, I think it is much better. Let's use just a small amount.
It's a 5-mana 6/6 that deals 3 damage. How is this not S tier, Merps?
Yeah, like, wow, isn't this just fire element? Basically, it puts the new fire elemental to shame, right? Remember, this is on average. Now, if you're saying, Merps, this is S tier in terms of toxicity for Arena, yeah, I'll agree with you there. I hate swings like this. I don't like it.
Yeah, you get this out on turn 5, you win the game.
Yeah, a lot of, and remember, if so, let's say you have a 3 health thing going into their turn 5. They play this. They got rid of, let's say you're 4/3, and they have a 6/6. If you have a 6 health minion in your hand, you can't play that when this is out there. Like, you just can't, because this thing will kill that and then gain another 3/3, and it'll keep on snowballing, and it'll keep blowing you out. So I don't like this in terms of the blowout potential, the toxicity, and remember, power level doesn't always correlate with how annoying or how feels bad a card is. See MC Tech. Mind Control Tech, I think everyone can agree, was never a top tier card on average. It's just when it hit, it was super duper annoying. Now this is more consistent than MCT, but it is very, very annoying still because of the swings that it can generate. So that's the only reason why on average the score is what it is. It is a B+, but when it hits, man, it is insane. It's just sometimes you're just like, okay, well, it doesn't fit this turn. I can wait another turn. Okay, there's not another opportunity. I can, it's not something like Abominable Lieutenant, which you can think about. It's like there's a lot more opportunities for you to just slam it down, and it's good. Sometimes you're also just forced to use this Battle Cry to deal like 2 damage to 1 damage to something that has to be killed on that turn, and you have no other good way of killing it off.
Or you just have nothing else to play, right?
Or you just have nothing else to really play, right? So, yeah, so you do this. Those are the times in which it brings it down. So on average, it is a B+. Sometimes in your game, it will be so good. Like, Omega Fire Elemental.
Yeah, let's talk about the honorable kill mechanic in general in this. Honorable kill with 1 attack is almost always. You're rarely going to hit something with 1 damage without killing it. And if you do, it's probably Divine Shield or something. Most of the time, that's going to result in a kill, almost always. But at 2 damage, it actually becomes a lot harder. Because now, you can't even get things down. Like, we're not just talking about, some things only have 1 health, so then whatever. But, like, what if it has 3 health? You would actually need a ping. What if it has 4 health? You need something else, like, on top of it. At 2 damage, you actually have a very large chance of killing stuff. Because if you're going to kill something with, like, let's say, especially if you have, like, a minion on the board that has honorable kill or whatever, and you have a chance to, like, eat another minion, who cares if it's not an honorable kill? You're gonna do it anyway, you know? Like, you're not gonna just not get the kill because it's not an honorable kill. You're just not gonna get the additional bonus. You're still gonna be fine. You still ate a minion, right? It's a very good thing in Hearthstone, especially on your curve turns. So at even 2 damage, it becomes actually like this open question of like, even if I'm killing something, is it an honorable kill? At 3 damage, it's actually kind of difficult. Now, I think you're still, especially because this is initiative, you're more likely than not definitely going to like get it, but you may have to hold it for quite a bit. And that's where it's coming from. And if it doesn't have initiative and it's just like on the board, you have less than a 50% chance of triggering that honorable kill then. So that's the way to think about how likely it is to trigger an honorable kill. For this, you get +3/+3. That's huge. So you're going to want to hold this at all possible to get the honorable kill, but just know that you may be holding it for a bit.
Yep. This is one that you definitely want to hold if you think that you can hold for a little bit. It also rewards you for planning ahead a little bit, thinking about, it's like, okay, well, going into this turn, what are some common drops? How much HP do they have? How much attack do I have on the board? And there's definitely some skill in anticipating, counting how much attack you have on the board. It's even good to have a varied kind of like number of different attacks such that you can more easily honorable kill. It rewards you for thinking of that and for having that. But a lot of times this is just going to be very annoying because like, oh, did you have 3 damage? Did they play the thing that like they kind of just had to play because it was the only thing that they had? And it's, it's better for them to play it and then hope that you don't have this rather than just play nothing. And then of course you have it and then you win because of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like those things. I don't like those. We're getting a little bit closer. We're still not close, but we're getting a little bit closer to like the Dragon Slayer thing, where you're just like, if they have the dragon, they have the dragon. I can't really play around that. I don't like anything close to that. And Knight Captain, it's going to create a lot of unfun situations. So
yeah, this is going to be one of those things where you look at the HS replay win rate, it's going to be really high. Because HS replay is going to reward, not the top players, but rather just regular good players. So anything that causes swings, HS replay is going to rate like higher. Like this is going to be one of the top win rate cards. It's going to come similar. I predict it'll become similar to something like Scorpid.
Oh my god! And the played win rate. The played win rate. I imagine this thing is going to be insane.
But it's not actually that good, is kind of what we're saying, because of the situationalness, because of the high swing. It's still really good. B+ is really good. This is the 3rd best card in neutral in this entire freaking set. Okay, like this is not. We're not shying away from calling this a really good card. This video or this episode is going to be called Top 3. This is number 3 of Top 3, but this is number 3. This is not number 2. And someone in chat asked what would happen if there was no honorable kill on this card. Without honorable kill, this card would be a very low C or a very high D.
It would be like it's a significantly worse Fire Plume, right? And Fire Plume is just like okay now.
Yeah. Like Fire Plume may be a solid C nowadays. I don't really know. But Knight Captain without the honorable kill would be a Yeti level card. Like between the D+ and this.
Yeah, I'm thinking like D+ or something. So yeah, this is definitely the honorable kill really makes it. Who knew getting +3/+3 on a minion would make it suddenly good? But yes, that's where we're at. Even though this is number 3, it'll probably, unless something really weird happens, have the biggest impact on the meta because it's a common. It also comes out like earlier than the other 2 epic cards as well, because you're not seeing Spammy Arcanist on 5 a lot of the times. And the Lieutenant you can't see until turn 8 at the earliest. So this is going to have by far the biggest impact, not just on how early you see it in the game, but how often you see it in general because of its common rarity.
All right. that wraps it up for the top 3 cards. Normally, we look at the top cards, we're like, these are going to be meta defining. But there's 2 epics in here. I don't know. They're going to be these 3 cards are going to be annoyance defining more than meta defining. Knight Captain will be a little meta defining. It's the best candidate for a meta defining card. But overall, these are 3 terribly designed cards for the arena. Because they were not designed for the arena. I don't know what they were designed for. But they're terrible, and Arena's going to be poorer because all 3 of these exist, or any of these 3 exist. I don't I wouldn't ban Knight Captain. I would just be annoyed by it, but I would ban Spammy Arcanist. I would definitely ban Abominable Lieutenant.
Yep, I agree. I think Knight Captain is on the edge of sort of like, oh, I don't love to see it, but this type of swing, I'm like, it's 2021.
Yeah.
You know, we should let this go. Knight Captain, I think you should let go. Spammy Arcanist, I'm like, oh, that's so bad. And once again, I actually hate the fact that Lieutenant and Spammy Arcanist are epics. That means you should literally never play around them because they are so rare.
Yep.
And it also just means that like whenever it does happen, you're going to get punished that much harder. And it will be played at a lower amount such that Blizzard can potentially just kind of turn the other way. And I hope that they do not, okay? Blizzard,
they're epic, they're not legendary, Blizzard. Please don't make epic another like protected area the way legendaries are. Please. Please. Please.
All right, well, that's it for top 3. We spent 40 minutes talking about 3 cards. We're